This is crazy. Joseph Robinette Brandon is at Normandy with like age-appropriate adults. It's like the most likely the last time that these dudes are ever going to, the last time we're ever going to do like a D-Day celebration with these dudes, because they're all like 100 plus at this point. We'll start off with this one.
From Normandy, France, at the American cemetery here on a quiet pine bluff that overlooks Omaha.
This obviously is like the only time America, pretty much the only time America was on the right side of like an invasion and military action. So like, of course you're gonna right into oblivion. Honestly, it's valid. It's one of those few instances where it's like, you know, unconditional support. U.S. military action, phenomenal work, good job. Obviously the USSR carried, but like, you know, it is the good dub here. This is the one instance. It's such a glaringly obvious dub in this circumstance that like, you know, they kind of rode with that permanently to be like, remember the Nazis though? We did that shit, and then they were like doing Nazi shit all around the planet. Lamau, what about Iraq, dumbass? Yeah, you're right. Another incredible dub, similar to defeating the Nazis, was killing 1 million Iraqis, dude. Oh my lord. How wonderful.
Beach, scene of the bloodiest fighting of D-Day. And we are here, of course, because tomorrow on CBS Mornings, we are marking D-Day's 80th anniversary. We're going to show you the events honoring all those who died here and also talk about what they saved.
This is my favorite thing, dude. This is like just a classic America move, is to be like literally any global event that we are involved in with like military intervention is just like the Nazis. So like obviously they've done this every single time, whether it be Vietnam, whether it be Iraq, whether it be Afghanistan. So they're now doing this to be like, hey guys, this Israel stuff, okay? This Israel stuff is like, maybe it's a little too bad. Maybe it's like making us look a little bad, okay? Maybe he's making us look like we are also a social pariah alongside the Israeli state. So let's focus on the part where, remember when we helped out the Ukrainians? That was good, you know? Remember that? That was sick. We were the good guys there, right? That was good, right? It's totally not a lost cause at this point, and getting worse and worse by the day. Remember that? The Russians, they're scary. They're gonna invade Poland eventually. Remember? Come on, D-Day. It's just like that. Please.
A hero's welcome for the men who helped change the course of history. Back on French soil, saluted and celebrated, most returning for the last time. These veterans were young men, some teenagers.
Do Turks celebrate Gallipoli? Yes.
8 decades ago, all here on that fateful day.
What do you think, Floyd?
I think it's great. Let's keep going.
Floyd Blair is 103. Dick Rung turns 100 in the fall. He was just 19 on a transport boat taking tanks to shore. Floyd flew above, giving cover.
To me, it looked like every ship and boat in the world was right out there.
The dead bodies were already Washington shore when I got there.
This was to be the longest day.
June 6, 1944, D-Day. The U.S. and its allies stormed the beaches of Normandy, breaking through Nazi defenses, a massive assault that would lead to Allied victory. The number of those still alive to tell the stories of that day disappearing
Pretty cool
fast.
seeing.
Their average age.
I think they brought these guys specifically to be like, hey guys, you think Brandon's old? Look, he looks young in comparison to these guys.
Now 100. Ed Berthold is back for the first time at 104 years old. On D-Day, he bombed a key bridge in Saint-Lô. It was only his third mission.
Were you scared?
Oh, yeah. As you approach the target, the bombs would be going off around you. I hope I don't have one with my name on it.
Along this 50-mile coastline on D-Day, more than 4,000 Allied troops died in the first 24 hours. Ed wrote home the next day.
Dear Mom, just a few lines to tell you we are all okay. We flew mission number 10 on D-Day.
For so many of these vets, coming back is a chance to revisit the past. Dick Rung kept a journal.
It is kind of wild. He is kind of eating right now. He is kind of gagging Biden with his mental fortitude. I'm not gonna lie.
To know, and you know, I think the thing about, let me put it this way. I remember when I was vice president.
This is kind of backfiring a little bit. The more I hear him at his old ass age of like 110 or however old he is, the more I'm like, damn, I don't think Brandon's got it like that. What's happening here? Uh-oh.
All those years ago, saving mementos.
What's this?
That's a piece of shrapnel.
like this tiny piece of shrapnel from a German bomb that exploded close to his boat. It's also a chance to honor friends who didn't make it home, remembering the past with a message for younger generations.
I want them to learn to live together. They'll respect their fellow man and quit doing this stupid fighting.
My goat. My
Dick and
peaceful
Floyd
goat.
say this will be their last trip to these beaches, a place where even 80 years later, they're still remembered as heroes.
Yeah, no shit.
And they really
'Cause they
are
are.
superstars here. Everywhere we went with them, people stopped them. They wanted to take pictures, get autographs, salute them, sometimes with tears in their eyes. And
Do they take them there just to flex that they're still here? I mean, yeah, this is probably the last time that they're going to be able to do this. Come on. They're fucking 104.
this trip for them wouldn't be possible without the Best Defense Foundation. They brought 48 vets over this year. Each one travels with a caregiver. They also have a large medical team to make sure that the vets are in good hands. And guys, some of the vets that you just met are going to join another elite group tomorrow, awarded with France's highest military honor, the French Legion of Honor.
Oh,
Guys.
dude, come on. Don't disrespect them like that. Don't disrespect them like that by giving him some French honors, bro. Come on now. That's disrespectful. Honestly, that's disrespectful. You shouldn't do that to them, okay? You should not do that to them. They've seen enough. They've gone through enough. They've done phenomenal things. We shouldn't be doing that to them.
Oh, Kelly,
Kubiak.
so moving. Thank you very much. What do you think about it?
We throw the word hero around a lot, probably too much. But when you look at these men who were teenagers back then, who literally saved the world.
How about his advice for all of us now?
Compare that to the one Israeli veteran who was like killed them all. Oh my God, you're not even wrong. That is literally, they are the same age. That Israeli guy, the Israeli terrorist that they bring around all the time to give troops morale, the 98-year-old psycho is always like, yeah, you gotta pick up your arms and kill every Arab in your vicinity, versus Chad, American military veteran who's like, cut it out. Cut it out with this war nonsense.
Stop this.
Or the Ukrainian Nazi who joined the foreign SS brigade.
Stupid fight. Yeah, we saved the world for you. Don't break it. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't be
Yeah, the Leahy guy who Israel brings out to give troops morale.
But as he signed off that night, he reached for a vision beyond even D-Day. A vision that for us, 80 years later, still feels like a prayer for our time.
A peace that will let all men live in freedom, reaping the just rewards of their honest toil. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen.
Such a powerful day here. Late yesterday, I walked down to Omaha Beach, and I found there some families had scrawled the name of their loved ones into the sand, and another group of family members had printed out pictures, placed them under rocks. It's the simplest memorials at the end of the day that I think are the most moving and that help us make good on the promise to never forget what the sacrifice was here.
Yeah. Good thing there's no Nazis anymore, especially not in America. Yeah, their sacrifices were not in vain, guys. Certainly, good thing. Oh, well. Ay, ay, ay.
And that's why it's so important that you are there and that you're telling the story and that we all, you can't repeat it. You have to acknowledge it. And that's why it's so important.
So we won't repeat it.
So we won't repeat it. That's exactly what I was trying to say, Nate.
Yeah.
The enduring resonance
Biden compares war to the Ukraine conflict on D-Day's anniversary, Jack.
of D-Day brings the world's leaders here to Normandy to reflect on the past and to consider the future.
Also, there was some fake news going around. I myself almost dove into it, and then I investigated it further. Brandon was not sitting down on an invisible chair. That was a clipped out of context moment by the RNC. Okay, we're gonna talk about that because that was drama. Okay, that was real drama, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon himself, where the is it? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here, Daily Caller and everyone else posted it too, a 13-second clip.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd.
This clip makes it seem like there's no chairs there, and he's just like reaching for nothing. What's he doing? Turns out there are chairs there, as you can see back here. but this went viral. This went viral on Twitter, obviously. 8 hours ago, everybody was like, oh, lol, like Brandon is not sitting at a actual chair or whatever. The clip was actually cut out of context. Here is the clip. Here's the rest of the clip.
Secretary of Defense of the United States of America.
Yeah, people were saying that he was pooping himself. People were saying that he's like looking for an invisible chair. You got goofed. You got duped. We got clip chimped. Okay. Now I don't know if he actually pooped himself. He might have done that, but that's like, you know, that's neither here nor there. The way that people were talking about it was like, oh, he's pooping himself, or he's actually looking for an invisible chair. Where's the chair? Turns out there is a chair there. We don't know if he actually shit himself. Maybe he just sat down in his dookie diapers, but anyway, that's besides the point. Let's get back to the D-Day anniversary. Biden compares war to the Ukraine conflict.
Among them, a different dress code for a leader fighting a war at home. Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in France to warm embraces. He was among friends. On a day when we remember the sacrifices of the past, he a reminder that Europe is still a continent darkened by war.
Thank you to the people of Ukraine for their bravery and their love of freedom. We are here and we shall not be weakened.
A decade ago, the Russian president was in Normandy for D-Day. Now Vladimir Putin is a pariah. There were no Russian officials present.
Okay, historically speaking, you know, the USSR did win that shit, okay? I mean, Vladimir Putin, but like the USSR did win that shit. Let's be for real for a moment, okay? America did a lot, but the USSR carried that shit. The W is on them for the most part. I don't give a what people say. It's historical revisionism to act like the USSR did not carry World War II. Okay. Now you might say Russia and USSR are different. That's fine. You know, that's all right. But like they do deserve the finals MVP title for sure.
But once it was very different. Here is Putin in 2013 presenting medals to British veterans.
Yeah, British intelligence, Russian blood, American steel.
One of those veterans was here today, still full of life, but fearful that history is being repeated again.
War is no answer.
USSR wasn't at Normandy on D-Day? Yeah, because they were too busy murking and saving Eastern Europe.
To the various things. And I have in my pocket now a message from Putin, who gave me a medal, a bravery award, and then goes and pulls a trick like marching into the Ukraine. It's terrible. But I just can't understand the human mind anymore.
If that seems like despair, then the American president brought resolve. At 81 years old, Joe...
Ukraine was also extremely important to winning World War II. Yes, this is also true, which, you know, it's a part of the Red Army, though, which is kind of sad when you consider the current state of affairs in Ukraine, or the current politics in Ukraine, and how the actual charlatans who collaborate with the Nazis, who wanted to not be a part of the USSR, who wanted to engage in their own nationalist movement, thinking that collaborating with the Nazis would actually give them a nation state. Those motherfuckers are now revered figures. Like, they're celebrated now, which is a really sad state of affairs in general. Not only made worse, of course, by Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. USSR collaborated with the Nazis too, though. Yes, the USSR's collaboration with the Nazis is literally the same as appeasement. It is, once again, historical revisionism. I don't know why liberals drop this shit so hard, because it is akin to claiming, well, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, and not thinking about what has happened to party alignment since then. It is literally the same ahistorical gotcha. It is identical. And we have, you know, whenever Republicans try to do that shit, you're like, shut the up, dumbass. You're literally wearing a Confederate flag right now. Suck my dick. It's just, you know, Nazis were socialists. Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, definitely. They were real socialists. They were definitely socialists. Why they killed all the socialists and also put them in concentration camps first. Most Ukraine, yeah, exactly. In Ukraine Nazi collaboration, though, Babela is silly, because most Ukrainians, the overwhelming majority of Ukrainians, did not support the nationalists. They supported the Red Army. Millions.
Biden is almost certain to be the last U.S. president who was alive at the time D-Day took place in 1944.
We will not walk away. Because if we do, Ukraine will be subjugated. And it will not end there. Ukraine's neighbors will be threatened. All of Europe will be threatened.
It is a troubling parallel, and this is a volatile time. In Normandy today, the past was precious, the future precarious. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Normandy.
President Biden in Normandy to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day.
Yes, the president there greeting the veterans one by one this morning.
World News Tonight anchor David Muir just sat down with the president in Normandy for an exclusive interview.
Bro, imagine all of your countrymen are trying to fight the Nazis and you're just like, I'm gonna go kill some Polish people for these Nazis. That is like Ukrainian nationalism. That's what the Ukrainian nationalist movement was busy doing. We're gonna go round up the Jews for you guys, Nazis, please. And then they still got arrested by the Nazis. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but very, very fucking stupid, very big L's overall. But of course, when fascism on the rise all around the planet, all of these all of these figures that are supposed to be dunked on endlessly are now being their historical their historic actions are now being relitigated as though it was a fucking good thing. You know, some of them are even getting celebrated in the Canadian Parliament, which is unimaginable.
Robin, good morning from Normandy American Cemetery, right?
Yeah. USSR were on the road to Berlin when the USA finally got there. Ukrainians were 25% of the Red Army, which is why it's bullshit when they say Galatian SS had no chance but to join the Nazis. I've never even heard anybody saying that. If you joined the Foreign Legion, you were fucking invested, okay? It is like, especially because like we look at it with today's eyes and we're like, well, you know, Slavs are white, right? Except back then, in the eyes of the Nazis, they weren't. So like it is akin to a black person, like deliberately and voluntarily, like a freed black person going to the South and being like, I'm going to go and join as a free black man. I'm going to go and join the Confederate forces to ensure that the slavery continues type shit.
Here in France on the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the bravery of thousands of young American sons who landed here on the beaches 80 years ago. I spoke with President Biden just moments ago before his speech here, and we started with that bravery. It's not lost on us where we are today, what these brave young American sons did 80 years ago. And we know what we're witnessing in the world right now, the wars, the deep divisions at home. What do you think these American heroes can teach us right now about meeting this moment?
Stand up, tell the truth, serve your country. You know, imagine what they had to come through.
Bro, if you put this fucking hat on his head, people would believe that he was there fighting, okay? He's so goddamn old, dude. Yo, all he needs, he's doing the old man face. He's like, Jack, I can't open my eyes. I swear to God, put the fucking hat on him, dude. Put the motherfucking veteran hat on him. I was there. Storming the beaches of Normandy.
I was here 30 years ago, came in on a landing craft. You could see from out there what they saw here. The idea that they got off those boats, they got off those landing crafts. Many of them died sinking in the come across that beach as long as
it's crazy because yesterday we listened to a 104-year-old veteran. The motherfucker was 104 and he sounded better than Brandon is right now. That's crazy, man. That's actually crazy. There's dudes that are like 20 years older than him that are out here sounding more coherent. It's so crazy.
It's just astounding. It's astounding. But what it says to me is how critical alliances are. How critical alliances are for our security.
Yeah, like our alliance with the USSR.
Honoring our heroes and defending democracy. And I asked him about Ukraine and about the U.S. now authorizing the use of American weapons inside Russia. And Vladimir Putin's warning about this overnight. I wanted to ask you about Ukraine. I know for years.
Hasan, why do they call Nazis National Socialist Party if not socialist? Socialism was very popular at the time in Germany and all around Europe as well. It's not like it is today when you think of like the Red Scare propaganda, especially in a country like the United States of America, where like socialism means you're automatically a bad guy. So they use the popular momentum surrounding the term while simultaneously cutting allegiances with literally fascist business owners. It was for PR. That's it. They very quickly quickly and very swiftly took care of the actual, like anyone who had even any allegiance to like a workers' movement inside of the party, very famously. This is part of the reason. Yeah, also the Nazis very much made it clear that they hated Marxism. Yeah. Something to always remember is that like the Nazis were very good at co-opting aesthetics. Like there is an aesthetic to fascism, and they cared about like a maintenance of order and presenting themselves a certain way. And they were room readers to some degree, right? And they did that to gain some kind of popular momentum. But one thing to always remember is that the reason why I always say nationalism, especially nationalism as a fascist movement, not as like a nationalist movement in developing a nation state for a group of people, is like a post-colonial emancipatory nationalism versus the nationalism of like Germany at the time, or nationalist movements that you see here in the United States of America. There's a difference. There's a distinction there that's pretty significant. But nationalism across the board is antithetical and undialectical thinking. It's antithetical to socialists and socialism in general. And the reason for why it is antithetical is because like it's the higher power there. It is the real reason why you have it is the actual ideology. You can partner that with like whatever the you want to claim you care about, but ultimately you actually just care about the nationalism aspect. That is your higher order. That is what you care about the most. That's why MAGA communists are like laughable. If you have read anything on socialism, you understand how stupid it is to draw a comparison, but many people don't read anything on socialism and don't understand it and think it's a bad thing regardless. A lot of leftists forget the difference between reactionary nationalism and revolutionary nationalism. Yes, I mean, the easiest way to describe it is that like, the easiest way to describe it is an emancipatory nationalism that comes from like a country that never had a country, a nation state in the way that we understand it, building a movement specifically to fight against a colonial occupier. Of course, many people don't really care and don't really understand it, especially in the Western world. Having said that, however, like I said, nationalism, when you are already the dominant in-group, is simply to vilify the out-group and destroy them and kill them. Oftentimes, these are the most marginalized groups of people in society. An immediate example is Palestinian nationalist movement versus the Israeli nationalism. Exactly. Right there. It's literally right there. You're absolutely correct. Israeli nationalism, Zionism, is fascist. Palestinian nationalism, on the other hand, is emancipatory and anti-colonial. It is done at the behest of building a nation state for a people that have been occupied by settler colonial occupation, that have been victim to violence, state violence.
You resisted the idea of American weapons being used for any sort of direct strike inside Russia. But we did witness this shift in recent days, authorizing American weapons for limited direct strikes. Are American weapons being used right now inside Russia?
They're authorized to be used in proximity to the border. We're not authorizing strikes 200 miles into Russia. We're not authorizing strikes on Moscow, on the Kremlin.
Let me ask you about what Vladimir Putin said last night about this authorization of American weapons inside Russia. He said the supply of high-precision weapons to Ukraine for strikes on Russian territory is direct participation in this war.
Why are they so focused on Ukraine and not Israel? Because this is being used as a photo op to re-galvanize support for Ukraine. Literally, one of the first things they did was ban labor unions. The term privatization literally originates from Nazi Germany's economy. Exactly. Hitler was questioned on this at one point, and his answer was something along the lines of, what is socialism? If people have bread and a job, that is socialism, essentially showing it was just populist bullshit. Yeah. I mean, he very openly despised Marxists and trade unionists and killed them and put them in concentration camps.
He went on to say that this is the way to serious problems, and again talked about Russia's nuclear capabilities. Does that concern you?
I've known him for over 40 years. He's concerned me for 40 years. He's not a decent man. He's a dictator, and he's struggling to make sure he holds this country together while still keeping this assault going. We're not talking about giving them weapons to strike Moscow, to strike the Kremlin, to strike just across the border where they're receiving significant fire from conventional weapons used by the Russians to go into Ukraine to kill Ukrainians.
The president there on Ukraine. We also asked the president about Donald Trump's guilty verdict, about his own son, Hunter Biden, on trial, and if he's ruled out a pardon for his son if convicted. And I asked about the first debate, which, by the way, is 3 weeks from today. That's all later on World News Tonight. But Robin, a profoundly moving day here, of course, as we honor the heroes who stormed the beaches here 80 years ago. Robin?
All right, our thanks to you, David. And as David said, you can see much more of his interview tonight on World News.
Anyway, what is this? Israel used U.S. bombs to kill 40 people inside a UN school, including 14 kids and 9 women. Israel bombs UN facilities all the time, at least 170 times in Gaza. There are never any consequences because they are above the law. Legalized bribery works. Our Congress is the worst. Uncle Magic, dude. There it is. Here's holding Biden accountable. The account pushed Biden left. The Biden presidency, we were promised kids out of cages, a Medicare-like public option, $15 an hour minimum wage. The Biden presidency, we're getting a 3-theater defense strategy. How America could prepare a war in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. I don't understand how people don't recognize that these are the last-ditch efforts of a dying empire.